Looking through international agreements on limiting climate change like the Paris Agreement, or through countries' nationally determined contributions, which are nation states' action plans to achieve net zero, you will find two processes on which success hangs. One is carbon capture and storage, the other is known as carbon markets. Without both of these two processes making significant positive impacts in the decade to come, the chances of limiting global warming to 1.5 degrees Celsius disappears out of sight. We're going to look at carbon markets, specifically compliance markets, where firms in certain industries are legally obliged to operate. We will consider if enterprises are likely to react to price signals in the way governments hope and pray. The compliance market is a cap and trade system that uses market mechanisms to allocate allowances between companies and industries that emit high levels of greenhouse gases, such as power plants. It's designed to help emitters keep to a specified carbon budget, which is gradually reduced over time. Now, if an organisation wants to emit a ton of carbon more than its regulated limit, they purchase a permit in the market. That permit is sold by another market enterprise that has emitted less than their allowance. The price of that ton of pollution is left to the market to decide. Now, according to organisations such as the World Bank, the theory goes that these markets will incentivise climate action by enabling parties to trade carbon credits. This is a very important point. No one is paying for or trading carbon. They are trading a financial instrument linked to carbon emissions, meaning we have actually financialised those emissions. We have made a market out of the climate crisis. Now, there is a lot of controversy around the usefulness of these financial instruments in reducing emissions. For example, how do you know for sure that the carbon credit sold has genuinely come from reducing carbon emissions? But those arguments are not for us today. We are instead going to look at the pricing mechanism. The success of carbon markets relies on people within organisations responding to price signals in the way defined by neoclassical models. Summarised as follows: firms that can cut emissions cheaply will do so, and enterprises that face high costs from decarbonising will purchase those credits. This will ensure the most efficient allocation of those permits. Now, for this model to work, the price of carbon has to be the main driver for enterprises to reduce their emissions. Now, Europe has the world's largest carbon trading market, and you can see how wildly these prices have swung from €65 in October to 100 in March. Now, carbon markets are similar to other commodity markets, and prices are certainly affected by both supply and demand. However, we will argue that prices, even in carbon markets, are a reflection of many factors, and that prices are socially determined. Now, to do that, it's useful to take on the role of the CEO of a power plant. Now, let's first deal with the impact of a rising price of carbon on your business. Firstly, the cost of carbon is one of the hundreds of costs to your enterprise. It may or may not have any impact on the total cost of your enterprise, and that's the cost that you pay most attention to. You may be able to easily reduce a cost somewhere else, not even to notice the increase in the price of carbon. Now, businesses don't change their way of doing things owing to a small or maybe even a large increase in one of their costs. Now, on the other hand, maybe you do feel the pinch from the rising prices in the carbon market. But decarbonising is not done overnight. You must first change your processes, possibly your personnel and your supply chain, maybe even the whole technological framework of your enterprise. Moving from coal to solar energy is not like switching your mobile phone provider. A high price for carbon will not undo the inertia caused by technology. Careful planning and significant time may be needed to decarbonise while minimising disruption. An important point, as profits have to be maintained during this period if the enterprise is to continue to be a going concern. Now, as a power plant CEO, you probably see carbon not as a product or an input that can be easily changed, but as a technology, and you feel its stickiness. The price is therefore not the signal for change that an orthodox economist would argue. The second area to address is how the price is set. Is it the invisible hand of the market? The carbon market requires substantial support from the much more visible hand of public investment and coordination, as well as the hand of management. Now, governments have created carbon markets by initially capturing and then issuing property rights to pollute. Governments' regulations directly impact the price, as do the size of the fines imposed by governments from non-compliance. Even the size of the market is defined by the government as it reacts to lobbying to decide which industries are obliged or not to participate. It is therefore difficult to argue that there is a free market and that only demand and supply are affecting price. The price is, as heterodox economists argue, socially created. It can also be argued that the price in carbon markets is designed to maintain the current social structure, institutions, and distribution of the social surplus, and as degrowth scholar Giorgio Callas puts it, the expenditure sanctioned by a society reproduce its established order. Finally, we should consider if, as orthodox economists would stress, the price reflects the cost. In a world of fundamental uncertainty, it is impossible even to begin to try to calculate the cost of a tonne of carbon. Reducing climate change to a financial transaction ignores the huge ecological damage of pollution, much of it irreversible. It can be argued that no price could ever reflect the true cost. In conclusion, the price of carbon does not reflect its social costs. It's not the main driving factor of actions by polluting enterprises. The price is socially created and designed to ensure the continuation of an economic system that has been the source of the problem, one with just one concern, the goal of efficiency in allocating scarce resources by using the price mechanism. But the pricing mechanism by design does not consider effectiveness, nor does it consider justice, only the efficiency and the allocation of scarce resources. Dealing with the effects of carbon is both an issue of speed and of justice. The price is silent on both those aspects.